Thank you, Member Ruiz, for a closing statement, if he would like one.
Thank you. As I have said since the Select Subcommittee's first hearing, our efforts to understand the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic should remain evidence-based and free from politicization, partisan rhetoric, and conspiratorial accusations without proof that seek to vilify our nation's public health officials. We should not politicize intelligence and turn the origins questions into a partisan blame game. Instead, we must let our nation's scientists and intelligence professionals do the work necessary to promote our understanding of the pandemic origins without political interference. And while the experts work to determine how the coronavirus came to be, we should focus on putting people over politics. We should develop forward-looking, evidence-based policies that will keep the American people safe from future pandemics. And we should take an intelligent, strategic approach to competition with China and the challenges posed by the Chinese Communist Party. Instead of fanning the flames of extreme rhetoric, we should build on the progress we made over the past 2 years under President Biden to ensure America's interests flourish domestically and abroad. Now, more than ever, we must double down on our commitment to scientific integrity and put the needs of the American people above political theater. Let's reject extreme partisan rhetoric and work together to save lives. The American people deserve nothing less. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you. You know, I serve on the Intelligence Committee, and as a physician, when the pandemic began, there's no doubt I took an extreme interest into what was going on. Mostly, what I was interested in was what was going on physiologically, causing so many people to die. Interested in finding out ways that we could maybe find treatments for people that actually worked. And started doing research. Lockdown came, nothing else to do. Just sitting at home. Sitting at home, going back and forth with another doctor from Ohio who actually got on the phone with infectious disease doctors in China. We began our COVID-19 origins investigation in February of 2020. And we found an article during that time that I had never seen before, medical article, research article, published by Ralph Barrick from North Carolina and Dr. Zhengli Shi from China. An article that showed that they were able to create a chimera, which is gain-of-function research, where you take one virus, parts of it, put it on another virus, and make it more infectious. I'll never forget, I'm not the one who found it first, the other doctor did, and he called me and said, "You won't believe this," and sent it to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is extremely alarming. Fast forward, after a FOIA request was able to reveal some emails from Dr. Fauci, Christian Anderson, and others, going to the end of February of 2020, where Christian Anderson said, "This thing looks engineered." Immediately, Dr. Fauci reacts. He contacts his deputy. Capital letters, be ready, I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember exactly what the email said. But what I do know, the email had an attachment to it. And it had the attachment of that very article about the creation of a chimera. Oh my goodness. I would hope that when Dr. Fauci saw that or became aware of it, maybe he just became aware of it, I don't think so, but maybe he did, that he was as alarmed as I was. So you take that article, the question from Christian Anderson, or the statement from Christian Anderson saying this thing looks engineered. And what does this very group do within weeks? Come out and say it came from nature. It came from nature. Dr. Anderson, we found, had said that he was focused. He was going to focus to disprove the lab leak theory. Why? Why? What is the motive for that? That is very reasonable to ask that question. Mr. Moskowitz, I guess, wasn't here for the other hearings. He's not on this subcommittee regularly, so he doesn't understand that that's actually what Christian Anderson said, that I'm going to focus to disprove the lab leak theory. And they wrote Proximal Origins, got it published. How can we not question this motive? And if we are going to do all that we say we want to do with this committee to move forward, we have to consider these types of things, the motives, whether they're political or personal, so that we don't let someone else do that again in the future. As I mentioned, I'm on Intelligence Committee, so I'm able to get intelligence that others weren't able to get. And under Chairman Schiff, there was an unwillingness to investigate this together. The good news is, in the Intelligence Committee, that rift is now gone, and we work together very well. But at that time, since there was two separate reports coming out of the Intelligence Committee in the House, Democrats reported, in their report, they concluded there was no need to search any further for the origins. What good would that do? Well, that's changed, fortunately, in this committee and across the entire Congress, and apparently with the President of the United States as well. And I'm glad he ordered the 98 Commission, but to date, I've seen less from the Commission than I've seen on my own work on the Intelligence Committee. And when I ask questions of some of the people from the IC, they tell me it's their policy not to answer my question. Dr. Lowenthal, you referenced it before. You know what the statute is. They cannot have that type of policy. And that's why we want to know more. And fortunately, I have been able to work through some of that to some degree with Director Haynes. And I give her credit for being open. But overall, let me just say this. I am grateful for this opportunity that we now have in the House. It's long overdue. And I'm grateful to Speaker McCarthy for putting this select subcommittee together. And I'm grateful for Dr. Ruiz. He's been a friend for a long time. We've worked on a lot of health issues together as physicians, and I believe that if we continue to work together, we can produce a product. You know, the pain of this pandemic, in one way or another, has understandably evoked emotions from everyone on this committee and everyone in Congress and everyone across America. But at the end of the day, I do believe we can and we must produce a product of truth and accountability. And I'll keep repeating what I'm after. I want us to be able to predict a pandemic, prepare for a pandemic, protect ourselves from a pandemic, and prevent a pandemic if we can. And with that, I yield back. Where's my clothes? I want to thank all of you for being here today and for being witnesses for us. I greatly appreciate what you have done and what you have said and participated. And with that, this meeting